Mrs. Crime, Mr. Wade, bringing you the stories. Stay tuned for a lot more.
Information on the man who shot and killed his two daughters before he turned the gun on himself.
Mr. Wade here and Mrs. Crime. Now, we are out here on a story on two little girls. Now, what happened to them, I'm going to break it down to you more in the story. So if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, click that like button. The story here is going to be a sad story, of course. It's an unfortunate story. An unfortunate story about two little girls. You ready for this? Stay tuned.
Told his wife by phone he already shot and killed his daughters before she called police. Those who knew the little girls are having a tough time coming to terms with this tragedy.
Let me break it down to you on what happened to these two little girls. Now, I post their names because Mr. Wade is bad with names. So let's begin. So we take it in the city of Gresham. Gresham is a city that's far west on the Oregon area, going towards like the gore, they call it, big water area, they call it the gorge. It's a big water area that has a lot of this rivers and lakes run into each other. The gorge. So you have a husband and wife. Now, husband and wives, they have arguments, right? If you don't have an argument, then something's wrong, or a disagreement. So whatever the relationship was about, whatever the pretentious argumentation that happened that made it so horrible, the husband decided to go ahead and leave the house. Now, he left the house with two girls, both of his daughters. Now, the argument was so bad, right, that you decide to go ahead and put threats out that, hey, whatever we got going on, if we don't get along, we need to fix this, or I'm going to hurt my daughters. What a threat to put out there, right? What a threat. So he ends up putting that threat out there. Time goes on. So what happened is this guy leaves the house, of course, in an SUV, got his two girls in the back seat. This took place about maybe 7 years ago. Okay. So he's out there, mad as hell, mad at his wife, over the top pissed off. Something might be mentally wrong. But anyways, this guy ended up shooting multiple times both daughters in the back seat. Now, he shot both of them, right? Now, the police were called on him because of a threat he put out about hurting their daughters. He already shot them multiple times. Now, he shot them multiple times. Cops were called. Now, he went to this store out in Gresham. It's off of Gleason Street, and it's called Walgreens parking lot area. So he's out there, the Walgreens parking lot area, in the vehicle with two girls in the back seat that were apparently already shot and killed. Police respond. They break out their weapons. They tell him to put down his weapon. Now, one of the cops said on the way to the car, he ended up shooting around. So they thought that he was shooting at them. So they shot off a couple rounds in the car. Now, in this time, the car's on fire. The cops run up to the vehicle, break the back windows, and take out the two daughters. Now, what ended up happening is this.
3 youngsters released balloons in the parking lot where the bodies of their friends, 11-year-old Jasmine and 8-year-old Janet Cortinas Duran, were found in their dad's car.
Now, he's in the car, car's on fire, course, he's killing himself. He already shot and murdered his own 2 daughters. The cops shoot back at him, thinking they shooting at him. Later on, come to find out that the shot that came out the vehicle didn't come out the vehicle. He shot himself, so he suicided himself. A murder-suicide that took place. They got both daughters out of the vehicle, of course. They were burned up, of course, but they found out later on for them to be already dead. They did not suffer in the fire. They were already killed by the father that multiple shots he did to them. Wow. Whew.
I just think, like, what if someone would have, like, heard something, like, could have stopped them?
I was crying because you weren't here.
It's not just the youngsters who were shaken by the news.
So the moral of the story is that this happened. There's videos on here showing newscasting of what happened or took place. Me and Mrs. Crime actually called the facility over here at Riverview Cemetery to actually see if we could actually find the grave. We found the location of the grave, but I think there's no headstone. I could be wrong, but this is the area. And we're going to pay a visit to the actual headstone. It's not there, but the location is. Stay tuned. So both daughters that were killed by the father, the names were Janet and Jasmine. Now, Janet was 8 years old and was in the 2nd grade. Now, Jasmine was in the 5th grade and she was 11. Now, knowing that this took place is very sad to us, of course. A lot of this stuff is going on and stuff that we have not even heard about that's going on right now. But to know that a father could get so mad at the wife that you take 2 daughters that were in elementary school and you decide to go ahead and kill them because you're so pissed off. Something deadly wrong with that, right? Whew. Stay tuned. Now, this is section 107 over here in Riverview Cemetery. Now, we're going to be looking over here so we can find the grave. And the area that they gave me on the map and the actual video they have, this seems to be the right location. And for what me and Mrs. Crime we have seen, we are walking up onto the grave right now, and there's no headstone. So it's going to be inputted. Now, this has been 7 years ago. There were green foot cards, they call that, play cards that had their names. But this is the location of the headstones going to be put in. Now, they're both sisters, of course. They're young, age 8, age 11. And to know that this happened to 2 innocent girls that had a long life ahead of them, and you decide to go ahead and get so mad you're going to kill both of your daughters. Of course, you killed yourself. Wow. So this is the grave of little Miss Janet and little Miss Jasmine. Now, Mrs. Crime, she is over here. She want to come over here because it's very sad, of course. It took a lot for me myself to come over here, especially those of us that have kids. Once had little kids, especially 2 little girls that had nothing to do with this argumentation, but, you know, both parents, the father gets greedy and wants to off his 2 daughters. I don't care what goes on in your head. That's crazy, right? So stay tuned. We're going to walk over where Mrs. Crime is at. I hope you guys enjoyed this unfortunate story. A lot more to come from Tombstone Whispers. I'm Mr. Wade and
Mrs. Crime.
a lot more coming from us. Remember, Tombstone Whispers brings it to you. Remember, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, click that like button. A lot more to come from Tombstone Whispers.